Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys in a Ride, and welcome to our car tech how-to video on the Chevrolet Blazer, and this is the premier trim level. Today, I'll be covering the driver's information and infotainment screens. I'll do a general overview, show you how to access information, and do a deep dive. Let's get started.
Today, we're working with our friends at Mankato Motors Chevrolet in Mankato, Minnesota.
So we're going to start with the driver's information screen. So you have an 8-inch digital screen as measured diagonally in the center, and then on the far left and far right you have analog gauges. But if you look in the chrome rings, a quarter of that is digital. So for instance, on the left you have an analog RPM, but the engine temp is digital, and on the far right your fuel gauge and your engine temp gauge is analog, but your voltage gauge is digital. Okay, so the information that you can configure, of course, is in the center screen. Now, as it stands right now, you've got what looks like an analog speedometer, but it's all digital, and you've got your gear selector indicator, okay, and then you've got your compass, that's the N. And then, of course, you have your adaptive cruise control, which shows up down below there. You can turn that on or off with the button on the left side of the steering wheel. And then you've got, of course, your current odometer. All right, so the green light at the very top right is your daytime running light indicator. All right, you'll notice that there's an arrow to the left and an arrow to the right of the digital speedometer. So what that tells you is that you can use the left or right arrows on the right side of the steering wheel. Now, the arrows up and down are actually used through the rotary knob. That is an up, down, and a click for OK. And that's how we're going to configure all this information. So to start with, if I go left, you're going to see this basic menu where you got an information screen, a media screen, navigation, and so on. This is how you're going to change the main content that's in the center. So I'm going to go to info, I'm going to click, and then I'm going to use the scroll wheel here to go up and down. And you can notice the little blue dots on the right side. So it's right at the top. I've got a digital speedometer. And then I've got a trip A, which also shows me average fuel economy and average speed for trip A. You get the same information for trip B. You get fuel range, instant fuel economy. You got remaining oil life, tire pressure. You've got your air filter life, and then you've got a timer. Now, anytime you have a lit up arrow on the right, for instance, we have one on the timer, we've got one on the air filter life, we don't have one for the tire pressure, you notice how it kind of grayed out. Okay, we've got one for the remaining oil life, and so on. Anytime that is lit up, I'm gonna start with trip A. You can press on the right arrow, and here I can hit reset. Okay, if I go down to trip B and I do the same thing, I can reset. Okay, if I go down to, let's say, remaining oil life, so you go and change your oil, this is how you reset that. So anytime you have that little arrow to the right that lights up, you have some extra options, like reset, or I could disable the air filter life meter. Okay, go down one more, and you got a timer, so if I go over here, I can start or reset the timer. And you just go to one and press the rotary knob. All right. So I'm going to use this as a back button. I'm going to go back to the left here. I'm going to go down to media. So under media, right now it's set to FM radio. And if I scroll up, I can change the station. It's like a seek function. Right behind the steering wheel on the far left, you have two buttons behind the steering wheel. If I press them, all right, so this is how you go through your favorites with these buttons on the back side of the left side of the steering wheel. All right, so I'm just going to select this one by clicking here. But if I want to change sources, I'm going to use the right arrow. Okay, now I can do radio media, I can browse media, I can go to favorites, and I can change the favorite button setting. Now, the favorite buttons is the ones on the back side of the left side of the steering wheel. That sounds confusing, but look on the left side of the steering wheel, feel behind it, you'll see 2 buttons. Right now they're set as favorites, but I can do it as a seek as well. I kind of like it favorites because I can seek through this rotary button, so I'm going to leave that one as a favorite. Okay. But if I go to radio media, this is where I change sources, and then I can say go to Sirius XM. All right, so that's how you change your sources. That's how you change the favorites or you seek. All right, let's go to the left. Go down to navigation. Now, this is where your turn-by-turn directions are going to show up if you have a route plotted, but you can use the right arrow again because it's lit up on the right, and you can look at recents and or favorites, click on those and simply select it, and the route is programmed. So I'm going to go to the left again. I'm going to go to the left one more time. Phone. Okay, so this shows up. My phone is connected to Apple CarPlay, and it's going to show up right here. If I use the right arrow, I can look at recents, contacts, or favorites, and then I can make a call from there. I can also just make a call using voice command. All right, so I'm going to go back here, and then finally you have options. So right here, this is your units. If I click to the right, I can change between US and metric. I'm going to go back, go down one. The display theme. So right now it's set to sport, but if I go here, I can go to touring, which gives me a whole different view. All right, so that's my touring. Go back to sport for a minute. Okay, I'm gonna go down. So 8 of 15 pages. Let's see. These are the pages that you can have show or not show. So if I didn't want the digital speedometer, I can take that off. If I didn't want trip A or trip B, I can take one of those off just by clicking here. So there are a couple that are not checked, so I'm going to check fuel economy. It allows me to add that. Speed limit, so it's sign reading. It allows me to do that. Driver assistance, I can do that. Follow distance. Economy trend, as far as your fuel goes. Oil temp, and then off-road. Now, I'm going to press the left button. Now I've got all 15 pages that the vehicle has available. So where you're going to see that is if I go back to the left and I go back up to info. Now this is where I've added all those pages. So I'm gonna quickly just go to the top. Oh, well. All right, so these are the ones that I saw before that I showed you. It appeared that, oh, that one we didn't see. Okay, so that's fuel economy. Timer we saw. Here's your sign reading, speed limit sign reading. Driver assistance, so it's going to show your lane assist, your cruise control, and then your lane keep assist. And then following distance, how many seconds you are behind another car. It's going to show you an economy trend graph. And then, of course, if you get that little right arrow, you can click on that and you can reset those. Okay, so then there you got oil temperature there. And then we've got the off-road gauges. Okay, so that's it for the driver's information screen. Next, we're going to move over to the infotainment screen. Moving over to the infotainment screen, this is a 10.2-inch screen. The screen kind of cuts off right there and right there. So this is just plastic. Okay, it's covered with a glass screen, but that's the infotainment screen. So 10.2 inches measured diagonally. A very nice system. So what you do is and it's not a Google built-in system. So if you press the home screen here, you're going to get either your apps that you can look through. You get the split screen that I showed you, and your home button will take you back and forth between those. Now, these are all shortcuts for media, phone, navigation, and climate, and those stay there. They can't be moved or adjusted. What you can adjust is the apps that are in these screens. So if you just click and hold, then you can drag those. It'll tell you where it's going to go, and it's going to replace that particular one. So I'm going to go there. And so it took out I can't remember which one I took out, but it took out one of them and shoved them over. Okay, so they can only have so many apps per screen. But that's where that is. All right. Up above here, of course, you got your phone charging indicator. So if I set my phone on the wireless charger, okay, well, it doesn't show it up there, but it does show it down here. So now, when your phone is connected, you know, people always worry, was my phone actually charging? Well, you can just look right there and you'll see that. Okay, that's your Wi-Fi hotspot indicator right there. Okay, so nice that you have a split view. You've got media, you've got phone, and then you've got navigation. Now, this vehicle does have built-in navigation, and we'll get to that. So let's start just by going to the home screen and starting with audio. This is where your favorites are, and then I'll show you how to tune. So basically right now, if I go over here to sources, right, I can go to Apple CarPlay right here. I can go to just Bluetooth. I don't want to do that because I like Apple CarPlay better, but click down there and I get AM, FM, Sirius XM in my phone. So starting with Sirius XM, because we were there, you can of course tune by using these buttons here. You can just slide along, okay? And you can, when you find something that you like, you can just click on it, okay? Now, you can also go to browse, and then you can browse just by swiping through, but you can look at for music, sports, news, talk, and so on. You can also go here and actually type in the channel. Okay? Now, you can click the star there to make a favorite if you want. However, when you're in any radio station, it can be shown up here, doesn't matter. Up here is where you click and hold. So I can overwrite something. Okay, or I can say, for instance, let's just go to a different channel, eeny, meeny, miny, and mo. Okay, click on that. If I press here where it says hold to set, I can do that as well. Okay, now these two dots tell me I have one more screen of favorites. So if I swipe over, it's just, these are empty ones. Okay, but you can overwrite an existing one, or you can fill an empty one. To adjust sound, you're going to go here, and you can do your bass, your mid-range, your treble. You can just slide your finger up here, which is probably the easiest, or you can actually use the arrows. Okay, and then you've got fade and balance, and that again is just click and drag, or you can use the arrows. What I wish they would have put in was a center button that you could do it, but it's fairly easy to get it right back. Okay. Now, because it's Sirius XM, you do have some extra settings, and I won't get into all of them, but this is where you can go in to set some particular things just for Sirius XM. All right. Now, the way modern radios are built, AM and FM look pretty much exactly the same as Sirius XM. So I'm going to go under More here. I'm going to go to AM just to show you. All right, you have a few less buttons down here because you don't have live stuff, but you can go through and seek right there to tune. You can tune right here and do the numbers. You can actually just go here and go number by number. You could also have, again, a spot there to start. And you go here for sound, and you're going to go here to browse by station list. All right, go back here. We'll show you FM quick. Same setup. And I really like it that they've now just made all the radios uniform. All right, so I want to just mention something. Earlier when I had hooked through Apple CarPlay, this did not show up. This did. I rehooked and now I've got this. My point is this. If you click on Bluetooth, you're still going to be able to access your phone via Bluetooth, stream your media, make phone calls, but it will cancel Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. And you will have to go through and delete your phone, forget the car off your phone, and reset everything up. So don't push that or that, same thing, unless you want to go through that process. What you can do now, what it should do is it should show you this. So now if I click here, now it's streaming. It looks like Bluetooth, but it's coming through Apple CarPlay. And what it's allowing you to do is see your phone's media in the media screen instead of going to Apple CarPlay. And you're still going to adjust the sound the same way. You can browse on your device, okay? And then you can look at devices. And it tells me it's Apple CarPlay. The most interesting thing to me is it's showing up in the media screen, which I think is really cool. So you don't have to go to a separate Apple CarPlay screen. You can stay in this screen and still be connected via Apple CarPlay. All right. Most cars take you directly to Apple CarPlay. While we're talking about that, I'm going to swipe over and I'm going to click on Apple CarPlay. All right. So the way Apple CarPlay works is you got your recently used items here. You can have a choice of a split screen, in which case this is Google Maps. I've got a search for Google Maps, and then I have got media. If I swipe or click the dice here, the dots, then I see each individual app. Okay, what's going to work with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto? Well, pretty much any navigation app I've ever tried has worked, and any media app that's non-video. Okay, so you're not going to be able to play your YouTube videos. It's not designed for that. Not safe to watch videos while you're driving. So please don't. But you get audio books, you can get music and podcasts, all that kind of media should work with the system. All right. I will show you one thing. If you go into settings here, you can change the appearance. Okay. You can change the background wallpaper if you want. Okay, and I'll just go back here, and it should have changed at this point. There we go. So that's where you have some settings. Now, typically in Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, manufacturers will give you, say, a Chevrolet icon that you can click on that takes you back to the vehicle system. In this case, you just press the home button. Okay? But even though this has navigation, if your favorite navigation is, say Google Maps, well, you can use that. Not only that, but whether you have an Android phone or an Apple phone, you can use the voice command button to access Siri or the Google Assistant by pushing and holding the talk button, the voice command button down. I'll give you a little demonstration. Siri, open Pandora. And there we go. So I can do that right through the voice, just by holding the voice command button on the steering wheel down. So that is really cool. All right, I'm gonna go back here. Just wanted to show you that, and it's the same for Android Auto. All right, let's get out of there, and I will show you quickly how to set up an Android phone, and the process is basically exactly the same for an iPhone. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into settings, and I'm gonna go under System, I'm gonna go Phones, and I'm gonna go to the I by my phone, and I'm going to say forget phone, not just connect it, but I'm going to say forget phone because if I'm selling the car, I don't want anyone having the capability of possibly accessing information. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to take my Android phone and I am going to hook up to Android Auto to show you what that looks like. Okay, so to connect my Android phone, I'm going to click Add Phone. I'm going to go to my settings on my phone. I am going to click on Bluetooth, or connections actually it's called. Take a minute for my phone to get there, and then I'm gonna click on Bluetooth, and then I'm gonna scroll to the bottom of my Bluetooth device list, and I'm gonna click on My Chevrolet. All right, is this number the same as the one showing on my phone? Well, it hasn't showed up on my phone yet, so I will have to wait a second. Yes, it is. So on my phone, I'm going to click pair. I'm going to click pair here. And it's connecting. So don't worry. There it is. And it should ask me about Android Auto here in a minute. Do I want it to access messages? Sure. If it's your phone, you want to click allow. Okay. Allow access to contacts. This is coming from my phone. I'm going to click allow. All right, and it should ask me about if I want Android Auto or not. Here it comes. Now this screen is important because if you click disable, it's going to hook just through just through Bluetooth and not Android Auto. So you need to click that to get to Android Auto. And I think at this point be able to turn my phone off, but I'm going to wait a second. to make sure. Okay, it says continue. All right, so at this point, I can turn my phone off. And I'm going to go ahead and set that in the wireless charger. I think my case is probably too thick for wireless charging, but that's fine. All right, so this is Android Auto. So pretty much really exactly the same thing as Apple CarPlay, just for Android phones. So you've got these little dots in the corner. So you start with your split screen. Same as what I had. I had Google Maps. I had a search button. This one just has home address for your navigation. And you got media. Right here, you do have a search function right there that you can go to, and it expands the map. Okay, I'm going to just go back here. If I click on the dice or I swipe, now I just get all the apps. Now, you remember in Apple CarPlay, I swipe left to right to see all my apps. In Android Auto, you swipe up or down. But again, it does all the same things. It takes navigation and any sort of media app that isn't a video. So podcasts, music, books, online books, that kind of stuff. Okay. As in Apple, you do have Apple CarPlay. You do have a settings button here in Android Auto. And if I go in there, you have some settings that you can make. Okay. And then if I say right here, start Android Auto automatically, always if used on the last drive, or default set by the car, I'd leave, if that's what you're going to use, leave it on. However, right here it says start music automatically. Unless you want music playing right away, you can turn that off right there. All right. So just wanted to mention that. Otherwise, it works exactly the same as Apple CarPlay. These are your most recently used icons. Okay? All right. In this system here, I'm just going to press the home button there, you can have two phones connected. One can be connected to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, and the other one can be connected just via Bluetooth. Unfortunately, you don't seem to be able to easily, like, say, switch between, well, I want this phone on Android Auto, and now I want this phone on Android Auto. It seems to be you have to set it up one way and leave it that way. So one phone will always be connected to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, and the other one just via Bluetooth. But, you can still stream your media. You can still do all your phone calls that way. So, again, two phones that you can connect. Okay. So that's audio, that's phone. Let's take a look at the vehicle's built-in navigation. It is very nice. You can pinch. You can twist. Okay. And actually, we were noticing this earlier, but it's a fairly responsive screen, which is really nice. You can click here and you can program a route, and you can look under reasons, favorites, if you want to see just fuel or parking. You got 4 dots up here, which means you've got 4 things that you can just click on. That narrows the category down for you if you want, if you're not sure where you want to eat. Okay. However, I can just press the voice command button and tell it to program a route for me. And it's a quick press and release.
What would you like?
Navigate to the closest McDonald's.
One moment, please. I'm on it, searching for McDonald's nearby. I'm finding more than one match. Because it may take you a while to choose, please do so manually from the display.
Now, once you click that, you have a go button, but you can also mark it as a favorite, call it, or look at different routes. And it tells you what time it's on. It gives you a lot of information. Okay? And I'll say here's the one benefit, because this, again, is not a Google built-in system. So you don't have to sign into anything. So, on the vehicles with Google built in order to make the best use of navigation and the other features, you need to sign into your Google account. This one, you don't. It just works. Now, if I click the 3 dots here, you've got some one-time settings you can make on your navigation. And just do this in your driveway where you're sitting out, because the car will need to be on. So you can change how the map looks right there. You can say, what do I want to show on map? Well, for instance, on mine, I want gas stations to show up no matter what. That way I can just, there's one close to me right there. I'll click on that one. But you can say I want fast food, maybe coffee spots. Okay, let's just use those. But you have these choices right here. Now, if I go back here and I go back one more time, now if I zoom out just a little bit and give it a second, there we go. I had to zoom in a little bit, but there's my gas stations, there's my fast food, and if I'm on a route and say I want to go there, all I got to do is click on it, okay? It's going to tell me I can click on it again, and it's now programmed a route for me. I'm going to hit cancel. All right, so let's go back to this. That's how you show things on the map. Settings, all right? You can go to destination card preferences. You can set home or work, and then you can adjust these. And, yep, so they give you quite a few more choices: school, daycare, gym, and then you have a custom one that you can name. All right, let me go back here, and you can, I should point out, you can click to show that on the map. All right, map preferences, real quick. You can have 3D landmarks on. You want to see 3D buildings, show terrain in 3D. We'll turn all those on, okay? And we'll just go backwards to the map here a minute. And if I zoom in enough, it's kind of a cool feature. You can change the perspective of the screen. We'll recenter here a minute. May take it a minute to actually get all the 3D stuff in there, but you should be at a street level here. You should be seeing 3D buildings. That's what that'll do. Okay, real quick, go back into here. We'll go back to settings, route preferences. You know, do I want the fastest route or the most eco-friendly? What kind of things do I want to avoid? Unpaved roads, carpool lanes, ferries, whatever you want to avoid, just check it. And it will avoid that when you program the route. Okay, navigation voice control. Do I want the full prompt? Do I want a tone only, so it's not talking to me while I'm trying to hear someone on the phone, or none? And I just relies on you to look at the screen. Okay, and then here you actually have a navigation volume adjustment. So this is the voice that says, turn left on Plum Street. Okay, so you can adjust it right there. Traffic preferences. Okay, you can show traffic on map or turn that off. Auto reroute to a better route, and so on. But these are all there one time. Just read them, and they're fairly simple to understand. And then once you do it once, you probably will never touch it again. But some nice settings to make. All right, let's go back to home. Does have a built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi hotspot if you want that. You do get it free for, I believe it's 3 months, or it's a data, and then you get X number of gigabytes a month when you buy the car, but then you got to pay for a subscription afterwards. Okay, you do have a dedicated camera button. Before I click on that, I'm just going to put the car in reverse. Okay, you've got a very, very nice camera. All right, so you do have dynamic swivel guidelines, and if you've never really paid attention to these lines before, it's showing you the path of the vehicle. If I back straight up, I'm going to hit that curb right on the edge. If I want to avoid that curb, I turn like this, and now I can see I'm going to just avoid that curb. All right, these, the red part, don't get any, when you're backing up, don't get any closer than that red mark there, because you are literally about an inch off your bumper. And then these, I don't remember the exact measurements, but, you know, this is like 3 feet, this is like 6 feet. Okay, they're each a little different. You have to look in the owner's manual, because I don't remember exactly what they are, but they're actual physical distances. Now, that's in reverse. Okay, you can, and I'm going to put it back into park here for a minute. Press the home button. Now I'm going to go to the camera icon. All right, you do have a front camera. This has got the 360 bird's eye view. It's awesome. Okay, so I can say I want to see backwards or forwards. I want to magnify, so I want to see from the top down, or the back in the back. Okay, now I can see just the left and right front tires, or I can see the left and right rear tires, so I can see exactly how close they are to a curb. You do have a trailer hitch view. Looks right down. If you had a hitch, it'd be sticking out right there. Okay, let's go back to this one here. Now, if you don't like and then we'll put it in reverse. If you don't like those guidelines, you can change it. This is more of a trailer hitch lineup, or you can turn them off altogether. Personally, I really like both of those features. Now, let's say I go back to here. If I turn this on, then I get the 360 picture over here, which is really nice. I love having that. Okay? And if you hit reverse camera, you get the same thing. So really, really nice to have that. And even the split view here, you're still getting this overall view. So I absolutely love these camera systems on the Chevrolet vehicles. I think they're really, really nice. All right, let's get out of that. Go to home button. You can set up a user profile. Okay, I can't do it now because it's not my car, but you hit create profile and just follow the directions. But that's going to set all of your media favorites. So if you're sharing this car with somebody else and they have different music tastes, that kind of stuff, it's going to save yours for you. So when you get in the car and start it with your key, or it recognizes your phone, however you want to set that up, it's going to change all those things. It'll adjust the seats, the steering wheel, all that kind of good stuff. And then when the other person gets in, it does it for them. Now, through the My Chevrolet app, if you download that on your phone and you sign up, you're going to be able to do things like, remotely roll down your windows, remote start your car, all that kind of stuff. This particular vehicle does come with a remote start right on the key fob, which is fantastic because otherwise you end up paying a subscription fee to be able to remote start your car from your phone. All right. Now, we'll come back to settings in a minute. We've already been through Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. These are other apps that you can download. You have OnStar services that come standard for a while, and then you have to pay a subscription fee. Okay, and we've already looked at SiriusXM. So let's talk about climate. So to adjust the climate, you have physical buttons underneath the infotainment screen, and you have physical buttons for everything. There's really absolutely no need that I can think of to ever use the climate in this screen. However, it might just be easier. But what you do is you grab the bezel on the outside of the center two air vents. It is a dual zone auto climate control, and I can just change the temperature. Now, you notice when I do that, it brings up a basic menu bar. But everything you see here is available in a physical button down below. When I press the actual climate button, I get fan direction and temperature in addition. This one just gives you the very basics. Okay, the fan is on auto now, and so forth. But I really like that, and I love the fact that all the buttons are physical. Let's go back to settings for a minute. Well, let's get out of here. You've got 3 tabs on the top and then a bunch of information below. So we'll start with system. This is where you can change date and time. Although I'm going to tell you right now, if you just in the home screen press on the clock, it's going to bring you right to that screen. All right, so let's go back to settings. Go backwards here. This is where you can change the language. Just click on the one that you want. We looked at phones before, so that's where you can kind of adjust those and add things. You can look at Wi-Fi networks, Wi-Fi hotspot, privacy. Under display, you can turn it off. And then if you want it again, you should be able to just, tap on the screen and it comes on. All right. Under sounds, well, maximum startup volume. And I don't, all right. That is where I would put mine. It means when you start up the car, your media is going to start playing immediately at that volume. And if you would rather get in and start the car and it's a little quiet, and then you can turn up the volume, that's what you'll want to do, okay? And I'm gonna be nice and leave that one down there. All right, audible touch feedback. You've heard the little clicky sounds when I hit the screen. That's where you turn that off. All right, voice. As you get used to using the car and the voice command system, you can say, well, confirm less, right? Or more. Okay, so, if you tell it to do something, it'll say, okay, I will do this. Well, after a while, you might get tired of hearing that response all the time, so you can say, do that less. Just do what I asked you to do and don't say anything back, right? But these are all the adjustments. I won't go through them, but they're either on, off, or you click on them, and the voice speed you can adjust, slow, medium, or fast. Okay, that's where you'll do that. Now, favorites. Okay, remember we were in the media section now. We had all the radio favorites. Well, if you click on Manage Favorites, this is where you can say, you know what? I really want this one to be first, or I want to change the name of it. Okay, and so you can delete it and retype in a name and put your own name, or you can say, trash that one. Now, oops, I made a mistake. Okay, well, if you hit it fast enough, you can undo that. Now, notice this is for audio. If I go to phone, I don't have any favorites added, but if I did, I can manage them the same way, and navigation the same way. So if you've added favorites, let's say you borrowed the car to one of your kids and they took a friend, and they saved all sorts of favorites that you didn't want in your navigation. This is where you'd be able to go to delete them easily. Okay. That is a cool thing. This does have over-the-air updates. Now, here's what I'll tell you about over-the-air updates. Over-the-air updates, with rare exception, will not install while you're driving. You have to be parked, and if it has a hotspot, it'll use that, or if you're connected to your home Wi-Fi, it'll do it then. And that's what will run the actual updates. See? So now you can download new updates in the background, and if there is one, it'll notify you that it's ready, and it will already be downloaded without you really even knowing it. And then you can update. Now, second category is apps. You can turn, if everyone in your family has Androids, well, you can turn Apple CarPlay off, and it won't even show up. Okay? Under audio, this is going to be a little different than what we saw earlier. So, if you go into tone settings, that's where you get what we saw earlier. But this has an auto volume adjustment. That means as you're driving, you get at higher speeds, the ambient noise in the car is a little higher. It's going to automatically adjust the volume of your audio to try and make it sound uniform, no matter if you're going 3 miles an hour or 70 miles an hour. And this is where you set the sensitivity of that. High, medium, and so on. So just click on the one you want. You just got to try it out to see which one works best for you. Now, under vehicle, you have a rear seat reminder, and that's a simple on or off. Under the rest of these, all the rest of these, you're going to click in and you're going to go to it. There'll be a short menu, and I'm going to show you collision and detection systems, but they all work the same way. So these are simple on and off. The other type will be something where you have to click on and make a decision. So, for instance, front pedestrian detection. If I click on that, I can say, I want that off completely, Or you can say, you know what, I just want an alert. Or you can say, nope, I want to be safe. I'm going to have alert and brake. So if you don't see a pedestrian and the car sensors do, it's going to brake for you. So all these work the same way. All right, so that is really cool. So, you've got rear cross traffic alert. If I click on that, it's just the same thing as on or off, right? It just gives you a little description if you actually click on it. But the function is the same. So we've got rear cross traffic, we've got lane change, we've got to get adaptive cruise control, front pedestrian detection, forward collision braking system, and then alert type. So this has a safety alert seat, which is really cool, and it's really weird at the same time. So if you turn that on, it vibrates your seat in pulses, which is a very unusual sensation, but it makes you take note, go, ooh. Okay, if you leave it on beeps, that's a choice, but the car beeps at you all the time for different things. Your door's open, your keys are not in, whatever. So you get used to hearing them. This is something that's you're not used to. So when you do feel that, you're like, oh, what's going on? So it's a nice thing. But all of these work the same way. I'm going to go back down here. That is it for the driver's information screen and the infotainment screen on the Chevrolet Blazer. And again, this is the premier trim level. We hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.